Hey guys, so today I've got a really cool rock I'm going to be working on. It's called Labradorite, and it's really awesome. It's got this really neat iridescent optical effect where it can shine different colors, from greens to blues, even purples. I just love this rock, and I've never worked on it before, so this could be a total complete disaster, or it could turn out to be something cool. Hopefully something cool though. Alright, if this type of content is something you really enjoy, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. Wow, just take a look at that beautiful iridescent blue. Isn't that cool? Hopefully the camera will pick that up. That is so neat. I was very fortunate to be gifted this particular piece by my good friend Daniel, who used to work with me. We used to spend hours at work just talking about rocks, lapidary. We even had a tile saw, and we weren't always cutting tile, let me tell you. A lot of good times. So thanks Daniel for giving me this piece a while back. I can't wait to work on it, and hopefully I don't wind up destroying it. It's so beautiful just as it is. So I've spent a good time examining this rock and trying to figure out just what I can do with it. And as you can tell, the blue runs right straight on this facing here. As we look at it from other angles, it might not be so impressive. So I'm thinking I want to polish it along this axis. Now I know there's some type of science to probably polishing this particular rock to really make it pop the best you can get it to turn out, but I've never really worked on this particular specimen before, so this is going to be all trial and error for me, and like I said, hopefully this will actually turn out to be something cool in the end. But then again, what rock isn't cool no matter what condition it's in? Alright, so where to begin? Well, I've got my reservoir completely filled with water. I definitely want to have a nice consistent flow of water to keep things nice and cool. And not only that, it helps prevent a lot of the silica dust that may be flying around. So you always want to use water whenever you're working with this stuff. Safety glasses, in case little pieces fly out. Always get little pieces of rock. Fly everywhere. And let me tell you, the first place they're always going to wind up flying to, you guessed it. And I've got this thing pretty much cleaned off. It's pretty red. If you haven't guessed by now, I've been working with a lot of hematite. So it's a real mess, get red everywhere, and really dirty really quick. But that shouldn't stop us from working on this rock. So, again, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and flatten this surface out completely right here. I do not want to lose that beautiful blue, it's just so nice. Almost thought of making a cab out of it, but I think I'm just going to display this in one of my shadow boxes, so I'm not going to get too crazy with it just yet. We'll see how it goes. What I might do here is shave this whole little unit right off on the back here, so I'll have some kind of a display stand in case I ever want to put it on a shelf or something. It'll have a nice platform that it can just rest on, a nice flat surface. This area though, I'm going to dome that out. Now I've got this little problem here where this rock has this groove right in here. This could be a not good area to work with, especially if you want it to dome it off, because guess what? This whole area you're going to lose. And it's got some of that nice blue right there. So I'm still debating upon what I'm going to do with that. I'll probably just start knocking off these corners first and see what happens from there. So let's give this a whirl, shall we? Alright, I've got my water running out. Don't want it to be too crazy. And contact. Everything appears to be running normal. Oh, I can smell that hematite. Always reminds me of the smell of rain, this particular type. Let's see here. Alright, that looks like a good water flow. Alright. let's see, should I start on the base? Let's start on the base first. So I'm going to start on that flat surface I want it to do for the base so I can rest it on. I want it to be kind of angled. So we'll just go right at it here. So I got a really nice flat surface now, and I'm really surprised at how soft this rock is. That did not take much time at all. Add a little bit of water to it. I don't really see too much iridescence in this one, so we made a good cut right here, going straight down. Alright, so now I'm going to take this and kind of round this out a little bit and see what happens. This blue is so beautiful. Oh. Alright, so I've got this giant step right here. This could be a bit of a problem. So I've got to knock this whole section out. I'm going to lose quite a bit of meat. I'm still hoping it doesn't cut too much into the blue. I don't want to lose that blue. It is so beautiful. Alright, so I've almost got it pretty much knocked out. What I'm going to start doing, and you may have already noticed, I'm starting to rock this rock. I'm starting to rock this rock back and forth and keep it going. I don't want to keep it a flat surface because, again, I am trying to dome this out. So you can see a little bit of a dome is starting to form on this. And just keep rocking that rock around. Never let it stand still in one spot for any length of time. I'm not even sure I got enough water coming out of this thing anymore. That is just... There we go. Let's go for broke on this thing. More water, the better. Alright, here we go again. Alright, that is pretty nice and domed so far. I'm not going to go too crazy again because remember I said earlier we have this big pit right here. It's just been chipped right out, and I don't want to lose too much meat. So I'm just going to leave it like this for now. I've got my base right on here on this side, so it's going to be resting straight up like that. I think I'll dome this top out just a little bit more though, just to make it interesting. And I'll leave the rest of this as is. I kind of like the look of that. I always like to leave a little bit of natural rock just to remember how beautiful it was before I started working on it. Yeah, we'll dome out this top just a little bit here. Okay, so I've got it nice and domed out. I've got my flat surface on the back here. This weird green stuff on here. Well, whatever that might be. We'll deal with that in a little bit. Yeah, I'm really liking this so far. That is a neat little bit of blue flashing on there. Really beautiful. Oh, and I always forget to shut the water supply off first and then turn it off. Alright, there we go with that. Yeah, that is looking really beautiful. I wonder if I can. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to my next diamond disc and really knock out these imperfections and get ready for the polishing stage. Alright, so I've switched to my 180 diamond disc right here. I'm ready to move on to the next step, which is going to be to remove those imperfections on this rock before we move on to the polishing stage. So I like to take my time on this particular step. No need to rush it, because if you don't knock these imperfections out on this step, it's only going to get worse as you proceed down the line. Like I've noticed, I've got a real big speed bump right here, so I want to smooth that out really nice, get that nice and round. I've got a little bit of that hematite still on this dirty machine over here that got on there. Let's rub that right off. Yeah, we'll just get this nice and smoothed out. And don't forget about the base. You always want to smooth the base as well, because, well, for this one I'm actually going to polish the base too, even though you'll never see it when it's standing up like that. But it's always nice to have everything complete. At least I think so. So let's get started on this step. Still got a little bit of water left in the reservoir. Wow, I did use quite a bit on that last step. Didn't think anything was coming out. There we go. Now I got too much coming out. Alright, fire this guy up. There it goes. So we'll start on the bottom first. Let's get this a little bit more speed. Alright, and just like that, the bottom is complete. That was always the easy part. Now here comes the part where you want to take your time, because it's all domed. Just keep it moving around. Alright, so I'm really loving this rock. This is so cool. Look at that, blue. Oh my goodness. This is like the neatest rock I've ever worked on. So I've got it pretty well smoothed out. I'm ready to move on to my brown disc and get this looking even better. Wow. This is so cool. Alright. So I've installed my brown disc and I'm ready to move on to the next step. So let's get knocking these imperfections out. Got my water running. And as always, it's really important to make sure you keep this rock rocking around, because you don't want it to start to develop a flat spot anywhere. so give it a lot of motion. Alright, so we're ready to move on to the next step. I've got it nice and smoothed out. Well, it's coming along really nice. So let's move on to this next step. And this step's going to be really easy. All we got to do is just really make sure it's nice and smooth so we can move on to the final blue disc. I can still feel some imperfections in it, so this should hopefully knock it all out. Sometimes you have to go back to the prior disc and get rid of it that way if this doesn't work. Let's give it a little more speed. That is pretty smooth. I think we're ready to move on to the blue disc now. Alright, so I've installed the blue disc right here. We're ready to move on to the final polishing stage right before we do the aluminum oxide, which will give it that nice, glossy, beautiful luster to it. Right now this rock is in such good shape, I don't feel too many imperfections in it, but this blue pad will knock anything out and make it super smooth and ready for that final step. Oh man, I'm just loving the way this iridescence just pops right there. Look at that. Oh my goodness. That is really cool. Alright, let's get on with this step before I get a little too carried away here. We got our water running. Let's angle this a little bit more on the inside track there. Perfect. Alright. And we're going to rock that rock around. Alright, I think that'll do it. Right in time too. Looks like I just ran out of water in my reservoir. That was a close one. But perfect timing for that. Yeah, I think we are ready for that final step. Wow, this is just so beautiful. This is going to be one happy little rock. Oh man. Alright, so we're ready for the final step. I've got here my pad installed. I've got some aluminum oxide already pre-rubbed onto here. What I'm going to do is get it just a little bit wet. Some people like to do this dry. I prefer to get it a little bit wet. Just rub that into the pad. Make sure you take the rock off. Don't want to leave that on when you start it up. And I'm just going to trickle a little bit of water to get that pad nice and wet. If it's not too wet, what happens is your rock starts to grip onto that pad and it makes life pretty difficult. So I like to have it just run right on by without any resistance at all. So I'll start with the flat bottom. And I've got this on a very low speed. You don't need any high speed for this final step. You just run it through, very light pressure. Not much pressure at all, just really light. Almost let it glide across. And that takes care of that bottom. It's getting a little bit dry. Also, a little bit of water helps prevent the heat from really building up. This particular step, you got a lot of friction from the wool pad and it can get hot pretty fast. Very light pressure. Wow, would you just look at that? Oh, wow. That is one happy little rock. How neat and how beautiful. Wow. Alright, so there you go. How to go about polishing the beautiful Labradorite. What an awesome stone. I just love this specimen. This was such a fun thing to work on. Look at that. Oh, so beautiful. So all I need to do now is just take a couple photos and we are completely done. Alright guys, so if you found this informative in any way or you just liked it, be sure to hit that like button. And thanks so much for watching. Till next time guys.